Greetings, starry friends, family, cosmic wanderers of all kinds. Welcome to another lunar cycle overview. It's Gemini season this month, and the new moon, June 25th, conjunct Jupiter in early Gemini, will lead around to a full moon, July 10th, in the constellation Sagittarius. So this month is going to be very Jupiterian. He is a lord of growth, proliferation, and increase. And as the sun moves through Gemini this month, we can lean into increase of knowledge, ideas, and communication. It's a powerful time to read, to study, to learn or teach. And we'll look at all this in much more detail, starting with a look at this new moon moment. And in 3 dimensions, just to orient us to the space around us. And here we are in the Planetarium view, taking a look at the living skies, June 25th, 2025. And we have a sun and moon in early Gemini with Jupiter very closely. And Mercury, ruler of Gemini, in earliest Cancer, Mars past Regulus in Leo, and the South Node just freshly into Leo, moving clockwise around the wheel of the sky. Mars and the South Node are on a collision course, sort of looking at each other as they approach each other and wondering what could possibly go wrong. And if we take it back in the zodiac, we have Uranus in early Taurus, sort of in the very area of the Pleiades here. You can zoom in and get these are the Pleiades, and Uranus very close this month. Venus is in late Aries, and Pisces is very occupied, and she hosts Chiron, Eris, Ceres, a very close Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and the North Lunar Node, which is by the next new moon, going to be in Aquarius. To finish up this sort of view of the heavens, we have Pluto making his way into the goat stars of Capricorn, but still sort of in this long cuspy area between the main form stars of Sagittarius and the main form stars of Capricorn. All right, here we are looking at the 2-dimensional new moon chart. Same date, same stars that we just looked at in the Planetarium view. Want to draw your attention to the main features of this new moon. We have a conjunction with Jupiter and a sextile to Mars that's really close. And this opens up a yod between the new moon Jupiter, Mars, and Pluto. And we see another yod between Saturn and Neptune here in conjunction in Pisces, and their sextile to Pluto brings Mars to the head of a yod. So we have Pluto and Mars at the head of a yod. We have close conjunction Saturn and Neptune, close conjunction Jupiter with the new moon. So here the first thing we're going to examine is just this conjunction with Jupiter in Gemini. This is ordinarily great. Jupiter is the lord of growth, expanse, increase, promotion. Wherever Jupiter goes, things tend to flourish. They tend to grow. Jupiter is a warm, moist force in the thinking of the Hellenistic sort of delineations, and that's symbolic of his propensity to increase growth. Now, in Gemini, Jupiter is classically thought to do not so well, but I want to push back against that and suggest that just as Jupiter oppositions tend to be pretty okay, they don't tend to be so challenging as other oppositions. And I want to say that Jupiter, on the opposite side of the sky from his home stars of Sagittarius, is just as likely to manifest a good outcome. Um, he may not be in his very strongest position, but when we look at the Jupiter Sagittarius qualities, they show a preference for depth. Jupiter and Sag always wants to go deep, to get to the truth, to get to what's really going on with something, anything. And the stars of Gemini, by comparison, have a, instead of depth, they want breadth. They want a spectrum of information and experience, as much variety as can give them a good like data set. Really, is the Gemini way. They have a preference for breadth of information, just as Sagittarius has a preference for depth of information. And when we combine them, this is just a great month to dive deep, to dig into our areas of study, whether we're a student or a teacher or just an independent researcher on the internet. Honestly, this is going to be a great month to educate yourself and to share information, to share the kind of information that inspires you and that you feel represents truth. Truth. This is Jupiter's big word. Jupiter wants the truth. Jupiter likes to feel that it can handle the truth, and this month might show truth, especially with Pluto opposite to Mercury. Big harbinger of exposed secrets or maybe hidden truths coming to light. But we'll get there. We'll get to Pluto opposite Mercury. I want to work kind of from the new moon. We have a new moon in Gemini, and we mentioned Gemini's preference for breadth. It's a very communication-oriented set of stars about teaching, learning, speaking, hearing. All of the processes of information are engaged in Gemini, the organization of information. And when Jupiter, Sun, and Moon are here, the collective experience shifts. It becomes a little more mental, a little more verbal, a little more communication oriented, and it expands. We are, anything could happen this month, from having our minds blown by I don't know, the latest technological developments. I say this because Uranus is so powerfully activated and in the stars of Alcyone. It could be that this month, in spite of anything that happened in the outer world, was simply a really great time to study, to dive into your personal learnings and expect depth and breadth of comprehension and expanse, elevation and promotion of your own grasp of the topic that we're looking at. Any topic very broadly. Gemini is very broad. Jupiter's very deep. Take it and run with it, fam. This is going to be a good month from that point of view. We do have on the other side of the sky, well, not directly, but like up here, we do have in Pisces, let's be precise, we do have in Pisces this amazing conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. And this is actually squared by Sun, Moon, Jupiter. So here Jupiter's tendency to expand and grow is expressed via the square, a sort of problem to solve or an imbalance to navigate. And Jupiter squares tend to take things to excess, tend to take things a little too far. So this Neptune Saturn process has been a process of sweeping social change, especially in the United States, and the introduction of authoritarian rule and a sort of new order and what that portends for the world is going to be in the spotlight this month due to the square to Sun and Moon and Jupiter. Jupiter will bring these issues front and center, make them bigger, make them more important, push things too far as these transitions, the transition, especially the transition. This is Neptune, Saturn, symbolizing especially the transition away from the old 250 years of democratic American life into whatever Trumpism becomes. And I want to give a timeline here because Saturn and Neptune don't even come together. This looks very close, and yes, Saturn moves quicker than Neptune, but due to the timings of direct and retrograde motion, Saturn and Neptune aren't coming together until February 2026. So an accurate or correct thinking about the timeline of all this social change and what might stabilize when the dust settles, is we're still looking at prolonged period of change and resistance and eventual dust settling. But that dust is not going to settle till, I mean, we won't really know where this is going until maybe summer 2026. We'll have something that might stay and exist into the future. Until then, everything's in transition. And these Neptune transitions are almost impossible to gauge what could happen or where it could go. And, of course, the leader at the helm of this, of the movement symbolized by Saturn, Neptune, is Trump is he's like a Sun conjunct Uranus, born on an eclipse guy. He is likely to do anything. He's unhinged. I don't mean that in a good or bad way, but a point of fact, he's not hinged. He's not got the hinges. He is off of them. So this is another effect of Jupiter from Gemini, squaring the Saturn Neptune conjunction, where we could see exacerbation and acceleration of processes of this sort of new order, and everything worldwide that gets exported, through American music, culture, everything, all those soft exports, those intangible assets, and the global influence of the United States. This too is shifting, and it won't be done until February 2026 at soonest. So some of the things that Saturn Neptune portends are bringing our dreams, that's Neptune, down to Earth, that's Saturn, right? Bringing our dreams and making them real, taking our vision and bringing it into the real world. Also, communism. Point of fact, Saturn and Neptune, their cycles and their conjunctions are major points in the development of communism and authoritarianism through history. Getting more from less. That's something Saturn and Neptune combine to do. So with this, just be reminded, especially of the good and wholesome qualities of Saturn and Neptune, that squares go both ways. This isn't just Jupiter and the Sun enforcing, right, their squarish wishes on this process, but this is also that we are able to tap in deeply to some of the things, like bringing our dreams into the world. And when I say getting more for less, I mean like less input, more output, like less energy in, more productive power, like systems that are efficient, combined with the formation from Pluto, Uranus, Mercury, and all of this sort of double basket that we have lined up. I would say expect to see, as this develops, more and more automated, robotic, just just sort of milestones reached in the stabilization of machine intelligence and artificial intelligence, and a sort of shift into using technology to accomplish our goals, where before we used menial labor. Also part of a square and technically a conjunction here is Ceres. And when we bring Ceres into this equation, she resonates with the themes of tragedy and reclamation, loss, cycles, seasons, our self relationship, our humanity, our feelings, and our emotions. And in Pisces, this becomes just very, very deep, very, very, it's almost like a forgiving Pacific influence, although Ceres is a little bit fiercer. A little tougher to, little tougher to saturate with the waters of pacificity. Yeah. There's a square to Jupiter in Gemini is going to accelerate and increase all those Ceres qualities. This could be, it could be an amazing month for discovering our inner feelings. Um, and when I say discovering, I mean that in Pisces, they aren't always obvious. Sometimes we're a little confused. Sometimes they're a little opaque. Sometimes they sort of present as something, but then on deeper examination, there's something underneath them. I don't want to get too specific, because these processes are, of course, going to be very different for everyone. But the theme here is around reclamation of our own inner territory, and the themes of recovery, themes of loss and recovery. So I'd like to shift onward to Pluto opposite Mercury. This just specifically signifies a period of pretty intense communication. There's a lot of power struggles that usually attend Pluto-Mercury oppositions, and a lot of potential manipulation here in the collective sphere. Unfortunately, this is a situation that is likely to bring maybe even more forceful or diabolical manipulation through the action of the yods, and we'll look at these yods. But just to isolate Pluto being opposite to Mercury for this new moon, I think with Pluto in Capricorn, it can also highlight power dynamics within institutions. It can reveal agendas. It can reveal hidden secrets. And with Pluto here in Cancer, a little bit resonance with family secrets. It's true. Capricorn, sort of like the work and socialization side of life, and Cancer is more of the home and family. I don't know. It's never helpful when you're doing mundane astrology to engage in too much prediction, because this will shake out with a sort of like rough shake. But the rough shake, it does portend a lot of depth, a lot of good conversation. It could be a time to see through things that are maybe keeping you from balancing your work life and home life. It could be a time to really take those and examine them. And we have Pluto Yod. Now, I don't talk about yods very much because yods hardly ever really show up at key points like a new moon that's going to influence the whole cycle, and they hardly ever show up like this where they're influencing major players in big ways. But here for this month we have Pluto Yod to Sun, Moon, Jupiter, Mars. And let me just break down a Yod for those who are not familiar. When you have a planet, such as Pluto is here, on the midpoint of two sextiled bodies on the other side of the sky. So here's the sextile. What we have is two inconjunctions, and this formation is called the finger of God or the yod. And what it does is applies a very special pressure to the body at the head of the yod. It applies a pressure from Sun, Moon, Jupiter in Gemini, and a pressure from Mars just past Regulus in Leo. And that pressure is sort of one where this sextile, it tends to vacillate. It tends to become a little harder to find the alchemy, the mixture, the harmonious alchemy between these two forces. And what happens is there tends to be a vacillation between leaning one way and then leaning the other. So we might want to lean towards friendliness, expanse. We might want to lean towards inclusivity. We might want to lean towards just jovial goodness, humor, uplift. We might want to lean towards, not taking everything so freaking seriously, right? That's a Pluto inconjunct Jupiter Sun Moon. That's the inconjunct tends to manifest as like the left hand, right? Does not know what the right hand is doing. The part of us that wants to be jovial and good is not aware of the deep, profound, and dangerous elements of the situation. And then the other side of this vacillation is Mars in Leo. Oh, hell no, I am going to do it my way. I'm going to do exactly what I want, and I'm going to do it irrespective of its, influence on others, effect on others. Very bull in the China shop. Very Mars in Leo is very bulldozer, very steamroller energy. And this Mars is yod too. So Mars is looking at two powerful forces in the sky making close sextile. And those forces are the Saturn-Neptune conjunction and Pluto, the force of transformation. And keep in mind, this puts pressure on Mars in Leo. All this like bulldozer, steamroller force. And the pressure is, oh, this change has got to happen. The old order of America must fall. This kind of puts this big serious thing in it when we get Pluto involved, and when we are looking at Mars at the head of a yod, we can say there's going to be a special driven quality to Pluto and Mars this month. And that's, needless to say, not the greatest influence for peace, not the greatest influence for wholeness, harmony. We could be looking at a pretty volatile month, especially in response to recent developments around the military parade and the protests against authoritarian power in America. I think we've seen for months now the volatility and the disruptive influences in the heavens manifest. Chiefly these actors in the outer planet sphere have been creating a lot of change and disruption. And this month we bring Mercury so into the realm of conscious mind, communication. All the actors in the basket, notice, are making pretty close relationship to Mercury. Close major relationship too. So, With months of volatility behind us and a sort of major social change and transformation underway, Mars heading towards the south node, I think things are things are the volatility of change and transformation in this basket is like continues to be the umbrella under which all the other sort of more rapidly changing and more uh, just less impactful things happen. So it's the case this month that this continues. The beatings seem to continue until morale improves, and that's never comfortable. But one thing I will say is that while the planets in a mundane sense portend for the world continued upheaval, change, transformation, restructuring. For the individual, any given individual, these are amazing stars for personal transformation, for personal development, for personal growth. And nowhere, is this better illustrated than Jupiter in Gemini with the new moon. So here we are, right back where we sort of started this main event. I encourage you not to consider it as if it's in a detriment, as if it's making a negative relationship. Don't just think, oh, this is going to accelerate and exacerbate the horrible things. The thing to do from an individual point of view, where the individual power lies and where astrology can help us in our lives, where it can empower us, is by showing us where to direct our interior journey and to show us how to focus and where the wind is at our back. This month, even though we have Mars, the planet of martial and military force, and Pluto, the planet of coercion, manipulation, secrecy, and behind the scenes dealings, we have them facing some serious pressure and under a very driven wind. We can expect all month Pluto and Martian forces, Plutonian and Martian forces. She's very driven, very activated, and in spite of that, in spite of that, and maybe even because of that, for some of us, we have the opportunity to deepen and broaden our interior experience. We have the opportunity to discover things about ourselves, maybe even our bloodlines, maybe our families, that could be milestones in our journey or revelatory in very important ways. And a whole lot of other things are set up this month too that portend personal growth is so cliche, but it portends personal growth if we're willing to focus on our connection, all these squares from Pisces here, and all these relationships from Pisces. Good night. The Pisces is really part of the picture from a major point of view. This is interacting with almost every important chart feature. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that all of this development that could happen, all of this ferment that goes to fertilize our growth, our personal growth, our intellectual growth, and our spiritual growth, possibly even our financial growth. It's related. It's all related to the deeper oceanic forces here in Pisces, and the idea that we're in a period of time where the forces at play and at work in the world, we're going to have to be careful how we align with them, how we move with them. I'm not encouraging anyone to take any one particular stance, but for some of us, we'll be more inwardly directed on our own kind of personal journey of consciousness and spirituality. And for others, this will be very politically charged and about social justice and the forces of political machination in the world. But for everybody, there's incredible wind available to turn your sails into and catch this draft, catch this gust, and make progress. So a very exciting month. Jupiter, again, broadly like spiritual wealth, temporal wealth, financial wealth. Jupiter, just a lord of like abundance and security and goodness. So any direction, right? Gemini lets us run with this very broadly. And with that, I'd like to move on to the waxing transit. So here we are. Let's check this out. We're looking at the transits between 25th, that's the new moon, and July 10th, that's the date of the full moon. So these are the waxing transits, and we'll have the waxing quarter moon. We'll take a look at that chart on June 2nd. And these transits are going to start with some alignments on the 26th. Mercury sextile to Uranus and Sun sextile to Mars. And Mars is in Leo and Uranus is on the Pleiades. So, and this could inspire, Sun sextile Mars often inspires a lot of activity, a lot of energy. And same with Mercury Uranus, although the activity and the energy is very mental with this alignment. And it's more likely that we could have some really interesting expressions of intelligence or genius associated with some of this activity around the 26th. Then on the 27th, 28th of June, we can put both of these on the 28th for all intents and purposes. We have Mercury sextile to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And it'll be a water trine. Mercury will be in Cancer. And Mercury can accelerate Saturn-Neptune by contact. So, yeah, this could go both ways. This could really have people, talking, right? Communicating about just what's going on in the world. That's an easy effect to see. Peaked here with the trine from Mercury to this Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune conjunction. And then on the 29th of June, Mercury finalizes or makes exact its approach to Pluto in opposition. We have an opposition on the 29th. And on top of everything we said about this opposition before, we can expect like deep talks and potentially confrontational discussions, revelation of secrets. And we can expect maybe to find out what's really going on in some sense. That's often something that follows Mercury-Pluto opposition. There's a quick but powerful transit that'll be over before the end of the month, even though it goes exact on the 29th. And that's just due to Mercury moving so fast. And those are the transits of the first week of this lunation and the last week of the calendar month of June. With that, I'd like to take a look at the waxing quarter moon. All right, so this is the first quarter moon, July 2nd. We have a moon in Virgo opposite Ceres in Pisces, and this is T squared by Sun, Jupiter. And just to gloss this with the sweetest gloss, I see a lot of power and difficult feelings in this mix, and there could be a lot of personal power that's available, especially around clarifying, disillusioning, the emotional sphere, the emotional process. But let's get back to the transits, waxing transits. So that was the waxing quarter moon, July 2nd. On July 4th, we have a busy day. We have Neptune stationed retrograde, the first of 4 retrogrades this month. We have Sun square Ceres, and that'll happen exact on the 4th. We have Venus conjunct to Uranus, also exact on the 4th. I want to say with Sun square to Ceres, we can expect, again, kind of a continuation of this theme, maybe difficult emotional experiences, maybe a chance to come back to ourselves, maybe a chance to rediscover or reclaim our values that maybe we had been unclear on. With Venus conjunct to Uranus, definitely changing values, changing relationships. That's sort of the textbook. Venus will be moving through Taurus, and so will, this is a conjunction. This will all be happening in Taurus, right? Because Uranus is near the Pleiades. With Uranus here, this is again, it's a time to seize the day. Like in the outer world, it could be a time of chaos, changing, shifting values. It could be, Uranus isn't a very stable influence, so we want to be aware of this in the outer world. But in the inner world, Uranus is a liberation influence. It's a drive towards independence and autonomy, sovereignty. And Venus in Taurus, with Uranus in Taurus, is very symbolic of our self-relationship. So regardless of, anything in the world, I really want to encourage everyone who uses astrology in your lives to seize the day and to always approach this in terms of, how is it personally empowering? Right, because some of this will be disempowering, to the collective, but that can still fuel incredible personal evolution if we understand the way the winds are blowing and how to harness that energy. Venus sextiles Saturn and Neptune on the 6th, and Venus trines Pluto on the 7th of July. So this could soften sort of everything. All these harsh transitional energies could soften them from Taurus. It could make them a little more heartfelt, a little more gentle. Could bring some heart into it. Could bring hard feelings though, from the degree of Algol and the Pleiades where Venus is. So Taurus here, that early Taurus degree, especially around Pleiades, is a little bit of a mixed bag. There is a lot of, with the Ceres angles, it's the same. It's a lot of sorrow, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of loss. It's just an energy that's historically resonated with some sadness and the need to, again, like if we follow the mythology, just turn away from the outer world and follow that Venus and Taurus, that inner relationship, clarify the inner relationship, and use these alignments to develop deeper spiritual connection to ourselves and the universe that we live in. That's the nectar here. That's the gold in all this. And I think that brings us to the end of the transit. So Yeah, let me just check my notes. Yeah, let's take a look at the new moon. Full moon, full moon, the full moon. Yes, friends. Here we are on the full moon chart. It's July 10th, and the moon is around in Sagittarius. Um, it's T squared by Eris and Ceres in Pisces. There are a lot of Pisces squares, and we have Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees and 14 arc minutes. That's the closest they'll come. They'll actually come a little bit closer. And by I think the next new moon, they'll be separating. Here they're approaching. So the moon is in Sag, and Sun is in Gemini, and right on Castor too. Right on the good twin. Right on the star symbolizing the good twin. So the axis, as mentioned, is one of breadth and depth. It's also famously one of political charge. When we talked about that, we talked about combining breadth and depth to develop a really truly vivid, comprehensive, and oceanic approach to our information base or whatever we were studying maybe at that time. But oceanic is a Pisces buzzword, and these sun moon alignments are facing a lot of squares. There's just a lot of Piscean activity, influence, energy. How do you say? There's a lot of Pisces that's being inserted into this full moon. So we have this kind of Pisces, Sagittarius jam with a Gemini, and the light that the whole thing is reflecting is originating in Gemini. So we're deepening our base of understanding in Gemini by discovering in depth what really is true, what really does matter. And Pisces is going to, for some people, confuse the hell out of this issue. Absolutely. Delude people and confuse people, bring the wool down over their eyes on this one. So we have to understand that there's a lot of confusion in the world, and that it's going to be in full effect this full moon. And for other people, this same Pisces thing, and this I think really depends on the relationship we have with Pisces, the kind of Pisces work we've done in our own lives. That's like spiritual work. That's looking at our own propensity to confuse and delude ourselves. And that's just the depth work to cultivate peace, especially meditation. These are very Piscean things. I'd say meditation is a Pisces Virgo axis thing, but peace is Piscean, fam. Peace is Piscean. And yeah, some other stuff that's happening just while we're here that's worth mentioning. The North Node is here at 0 degrees, right on the Aquarius cusp, and by the next new moon is going to be in Aquarius. This is going to continue the unstoppable wave of machine intelligence and the development, corporation of AI, for better or worse. And I'm of two minds about it myself, but who cares what I think? This is happening, and it's symbolized by North Node into Aquarius. The further stabilization and penetration into these mysteries of machine intelligence. All right, so the synthesis of all of this put together, I think it's about clarifying truth. You see, where Gemini is just all the information that's out there and all the sea of facts, and Sag is very much, with a moon in Sag, this is about where we stand as individuals relative to the confusion that is affecting everyone. and relative to the political change and this wave of new world order that's rolling out and affecting everyone, and just where we are in a Sagittarian sense. What is true? What do we believe in our deepest hearts? Where do we stand on this? And where does that position us relative to the world around us? And with that onward, let's see, we will look at the waning transits. Yeah. Okay. And just to orient to this page, we're looking at the transits between July 10th, that is the full moon, and July 24th, that is the next new moon. On the way, we have the 17th, waning quarter moon. We'll take a look at that chart. And these are the transits that will affect the waning section of the lunar month. Okay, let's put that aside and focus on the 12th of July, because we have two things happening. One is that Saturn stations retrograde. And before he does that, Mercury will trine to dwarf planet Ceres. Mercury trine Ceres is good for thinking. It's going to be good for processing emotionally, and based on what we really know in our bones. Ceres always spoke power to deities. Ceres always spoke power to gods, even though she's sort of like a, I don't know, kind of like a demigod, or like sort of like a half. I didn't think she was mortal. No. Demeter was a minor goddess, but when it came to talking truth to power, to Pluto, to Jupiter, she would debate with the gods. She would tell them, like, hell no, it's not like that. It's like this. And she would win these debates. They would listen to her. And this has always been part of the mythology of Ceres Demeter, to consider things emotionally, but not in a soft, sort of wet, weak way. Like we can sometimes, if we're not really stabilized in our emotions, we can get pushed around by stronger people. But Ceres, very heartfelt, very emotional, but also very rooted, very empowered, very sovereign, and very aware of it. All right, that's my spiel on Ceres. Around the 12th at early in the day, Eastern time, we have this Mercury trine Ceres exact. Later in the day on the 12th, right around, actually early on the 13th, 7 minutes past midnight, we do have Saturn station retrograde. So for the 12th and 13th, the entirety of the dates of the calendar, July 12th and July 13th, I think we can expect like a lot of slowness, a lot of delay, a lot of people with obstinate attitudes being empowered. A lot of things could just, take longer than we want them to. They could go wrong. And those are the transits. Those two things are all that happens in that third week of this lunation. And then, bam, July 17th, we have the waning quarter moon. So let's check that out. Yeah, waning quarter moon. The sun and moon are with Eris, sun and moon by square. We have a moon here at 36 degrees Pisces with Eris at 36 and Chiron at 37. We also have this moon Pisces, this moon Eris Chiron in Pisces, T-squaring Sun Pluto opposition as Mercury stations. So that's pretty crazy for a waning moon. There's a lot happening, and this could get dynamic and diabolical, friends, when we get Eris, Pluto, and we do have Mars activated by the South Node. We get all three of them activated. Things happen. Sometimes the forceful things, sometimes the manipulative things, and sometimes the unfortunate. Just that could be one of the effects of this. Again, I think the lines are really clearly drawn, and I don't want to say too much on this quarter moon chart, but I think the lines are drawn. If we're looking out to the world, I think we're going to find increased chaos. The intention that's coded into the sky, all these skies, it so powerfully benefits the same alignments that can manifest as like social, like outrageous social misadventure. The misadventures of power and its misapplication. These same alignments can be healing through self-examination, through doing deep shadow work and clarifying your spiritual place, that's Pisces, in the relationship between power, people. That's the sun. Pluto is always going to be power in the world, and the sun will always be the social order. It's just mundane astrology basics. So don't take anything that's happening in the world as the final word in all this. There is another world within, and these rough exterior circumstances are challenging everyone to find it, to get in touch with that inner pillar that doesn't change, that isn't disrupted, to get in touch with the relationship you have with what is always present, right? The cosmos, the universe, consciousness as it moves in the universe is never not looking right out of your eyes, animating every cell in your body like we're part of an amazing wave. And this wave is symbolized by Pisces. It's a wave of life in the universe. And it's sacred. And we have to come to terms with this and treating it like it's sacred. So that's a lot of diatribe. That's enough for me. That's more than enough for me. But we'll go back to the waning transits. Yeah. And we'll finish this out. That was the waning quarter moon on the 17th. Now, right after that moon, we have a very eventful period of time. We have the sun squaring Eris. And this is happening late on July 17th. Then we have Venus sextile Ceres, Mercury stationed retrograde, and Mercury sextile Venus. So this formation should bring a lot of creativity, a lot of artistic genius, a lot of just like really good strategy, and a lot of interesting insight as far as our self relationship with Venus still moving through Taurus for this transit. I want to say Sun square Eris is generally destabilizing of the social order. And the Sun in late Gemini, we could be really diffuse here. The people could be really scattered, and Eris could really be having her way with the social order. And this whole Mercury sextile Venus trine series, Venus on the midpoint of Mercury series, I think this is generally stabilizing of the feelings, especially feelings that have emerged as a result of clarifying your spiritual purpose. I say that because Ceres is in Pisces and subject to this disillusionment and processes of clarifying where we're confused. These are Piscean processes. It also this Mercury Venus series formation, it stabilizes the feelings of the community, stabilizes community itself, and it's just gives a boost and gives a beautiful boost to the vox populi, the voice, if you will, of the people. And I think it'll be an interesting month, because it shows both the overreach of power and the overextension of power, but also the galvanization or the stabilization of the people as one, which, I mean, this is kind of what authoritarianism does, is breeds a sort of rebellion. And so, as long as there are this sort of dog chasing its tail, I guess we all have to find our role in that. But one sort of breeds the other, as I see it, this month gives the conditions that give rise to both the overreach of imperial power and the a really heartfelt that overreach, that abuse of power will actually bring the people together, will actually galvanize the people. That's what's here. We've got all this. We've got all this up to about the 20th, when Mercury and Ceres make their second contact. We have a lot of energy that it's good for fertilizing the garden, but it's like of the nature of fertilizer. It's like kind of harsher experience, difficult, stinky, sweaty, nasty experience that, yeah, we grow from, but we don't always like it. And I think this is going to continue through the late month as Eris stations retrograde. And that, just like Saturn stationed retrograde, gives a little bit of slowdown, a little bit of just like, molasses effect. Eris station retrograde, just be careful on the 21st, 22nd. Mark your calendar. Eris is a volatile figure, and she's playing a role. She's square the sun, and also widely square Pluto. And you can see the sun approaching. So Eris is activated here by Sun and Pluto, those big powers. And I want to just caution everyone these couple of days. Be aware of the propensity for the unexpected, for chaos, and for Eris's beautiful gift of showing us what we're hiding from ourselves, or what we're not accepting or looking at within situations. Showing us what we're ignoring. And wow, yeah, just to wind this out, we have Venus square Mars on the 23rd, going exact. We have Sun sextile Uranus, also 23rd, and Sun trine Saturn Neptune on the 24th. And all of this, with the exception, Sun sextile Uranus will be active for the next new moon. We can look at that now. We can shift to that chart. And yeah, the sun is going to stay in contact with the outer planets, opposite Pluto on the Capricorn Cancer axis. We have now a double basket that is made by sun and moon. Oh, yeah. Looks intense. We'll get there next month. And we'll cover all that ground at that time. Thank you. Thank you all for hanging in this long. I have some big news for everyone who's been paying attention to my channel over the last 2 years. Serena got her disability. She was awarded fully disabled status by the government. She's got her first check. We have been on this 2 years journey, and I want to thank you, everybody, all of you. Even if you didn't do a single thing, just thank you for the emotional support, the financial support, the reminder of how terribly interconnected and interdependent life is, even for strongly independent people like Serena and I. Thank you. I'd like to promote the ISAA. This is a sort of a exciting new organization, the International Society for no, International Sidereal Astrology Association. Right. It's new, and I still get it wrong all the time. ISAA, the International Sidereal Astrology Association, and they have a website, which is I'll put that up on the screen. You should check it out. Just go see what they're up to. And they're having a sort of a launch event, which I believe I'll put the date up, the correct date. I don't have that date in my mind right now, except like September 28th, 2025. It's that could be the wrong date. I'll disregard what I just said. I'll put some event details up on the screen. Yeah. And yeah, I have a private practice that I encourage anyone interested to just reach out, find out more, or send me your questions, or see if I could maybe help you. It's One Sky Astrology, oneskyastro.com. And yeah, I do all kinds of personal consultations and non-mundane astrology, private readings, and you can find out a lot of information on that site, and come check out my work. And if you aren't interested in my work particularly, but just more broadly interested in true sidereal, constellational astrology, check out Radical Astrology on Facebook. That's a community group that it's a community space that I host. Everyone's invited. If you apply to join, it's a private group, so you have to answer some questions. Just answer the questions, because it's a bot check. It's a bot check. People who are just like click OK and don't answer the questions, they don't get in the group, because we want to keep the group safe from bots and all kinds of clutter, community clutter, right? So if that interests you, if a well-curated community around sidereal astrology of all kinds, especially constellational astrology, interests you, and you use the Facebook platform, come join us on Radical Astrology. Yeah, that's where we hang out. I think that's it, fam. Thank you. Love you. Bye.